All right, welcome back. It's Wolf and Luke on a Tuesday morning, the week of the NBA playoffs and the play-in starting tonight in the Western Conference. Scott Williams is in for Wolf. And Scott, as we switch our focus now from like the regular season just felt like so much trying to project what each game meant, even though they were regular season games, right? They beat Denver. So this means that they can beat anybody. Okay, well, they lost to San Antonio, so this means they should fold the team. Like, now we can just say, here we go, game one Saturday, better win the game. Like, this is it now. Just win the game in front of you. We don't have to project. Nobody's going to say, well, the way they beat Minnesota on Saturday, I don't know how that would play in a series against the Clippers in 2 rounds. Nobody's going to care.
No one cares.
Just win.
You got to go out there and beat the opponent in front of you, and you have to make some adjustments to how you played the regular season, no doubt about that. What I think I like about these, let's say, final 3 games. I'm not going to leave that Clipper game out because that was ugly at home. It's hard to believe I was at that game a week ago Tuesday.
Yeah. Not even 6.5 days ago.
I'm throwing my hands up in the air like, what is happening? And now all of a sudden I'm smiling almost from ear to ear after a little 3-game stretch.
They're the healthy team in the series, too, by the way. They're not the ones working some big name back in. It's Minnesota that's doing that now.
Correct, right? Like, remember when they were trying to bring Bradley Beal back and they didn't know the rotation and when they kind of knew where they were going offensively, the defense looked horrible and they couldn't score a point in the fourth quarter.
Yes, I do remember all these things.
Right. Now they go out and go 35 points in the fourth quarter against the Clippers. They get a big stop down the stretch at Sacramento, and they play with a different mindset going into that Minnesota game, which really was a must-win for them if they wanted to avoid the play-in situation. So suddenly the whole feel and everything around this team feels a whole lot better, and Coach Vogel and staff, along with the leaders, KD, Booker, and Beal, I'm just going to say those 3 guys. I'm sure there's some other leaders there as well, but let's just go with the big 3, have, again, got to shift the mindset again now to lock into playoff basketball where you're not blowing any opportunities. There's no miscommunication defensively. Offensively, you're not throwing the ball in the first row like they do sometimes with these one-hand passes, and they get a little sloppier, lackadaisical out there. Everything has to be fine-tuned.
Yeah, no, you're right. And if they do that and they lock in the first game and look like the team everybody was, thinking they might this year or hoping that they could if you're a Suns fan, if they look like it even just for the first game, it's going to be like, whoa. Like, nobody cares that Minnesota won more games in the regular season if the Suns look like a title contender in the first. Even if they're not a title contender, but if they look like it in the first game,
right,
that's going to do – like, you talk about pressure on each of the teams. There's clearly, in my mind, more pressure on the Suns. But if they lose game 1, you do feel like they can bounce back. If they go out there and are just, like, dominant in game 1, there's got to be a moment on Minnesota's side of, like, yeah, this team's supposed to be a title contender. They do have Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, and they just beat us by 18 or something.
Yeah, you send them a message, especially if Karl Anthony Towns is out there limping around on one knee, can't go but 24, 28 minutes. They're going to feel real bad about their position, having given up home court advantage. So you deal in that psychological blow, and that's what you're out for, right? It's I know when Wolf is on here, all he talks about the blood sport. Well, you want to cut a team in the NBA, and you cut them by hurting them in the race to 4 wins, obviously, but you also deal them a blow mentally that no, we've owned you in the regular season, we got you in the playoffs.
Yeah,
you start packing your bags for Cabo.
Yeah. Try to figure it out. If it takes you a couple games, the series is probably already over. That's basically the message you can send. This is Kendrick Perkins. He was on with us yesterday. And you got to remember, Kendrick Perkins has certainly been critical of Kevin Durant in the past. He's also a former teammate of Kevin Durant at Oklahoma City. And this is what he told us yesterday about the Suns and what needs to happen for them to make a deep run in these playoffs.
I can. But it's going to – and I know people will be like, oh, Perk always picking on – Kevin Durant. I'm not picking on him. I just be wanting KD to get uncomfortable and uncomfortable with his leadership, right? We're talking about a guy that's going to go down as one of the greatest basketball players ever. Yeah. He's already top 15 in my eyes. We're talking about a 2-time NBA champion, a 2-time Finals MVP. Like, I want him to get uncomfortable with his leadership. And, everybody's like, oh, everybody lead different ways. No, like, to me, consistently, I want to see a leader like when they had Chris Paul, because to be honest, they really haven't had a leader since Chris Paul left. That vocal leader, a guy that's going to hold guys accountable. Kevin Durant, are you going to go get the ball and be the point forward at times in the fourth quarter where y'all done struggled a lot this season? Are you going to be an extension of Frank Vogel? If he could do that, which I know he can, then absolutely the Suns are a real threat of coming out of the Western Conference.
There's a lot there, Scott. Where do you start with that?
Well, I like Perk. I think he does a good job, right? Like, I think I would twist some of the words, how he said it, and come to the same meaning. He says he wants to be uncomfortable with his leadership. No, he's uncomfortable with his leadership now. I want him to get comfortable being a leader, being a vocal leader. I think it's probably the best way to put it. So let me start over again. Be comfortable being a vocal leader. I was watching The Last Dance because I'm that dude that does that on a Monday afternoon.
That's a pretty great series.
And there's a scene in there, Michael Jordan, and he comes to tears at the end of the season because he's like, some people might think I'm a tyrant the way I wanted to go out there and lead my team. And maybe you can't be everybody's friend all the time. And I had to drag people some places they were uncomfortable going. And he calls for a break in the taping because he's so emotional about it, because he wants to be one of the guys, right? But he understands that for him to take this team to where he wants to be at a championship level, I got to do it with my teammates. I can't do it by myself. I saw in the past I couldn't get past the Pistons trying to do it by myself. So I need my teammates to do it. And sometimes I got to drag these guys along. Sometimes if they're kicking or screaming, if they're upset at me. And that's what KD's got to do for this team right here, right now, this season.
See, I don't disagree with a single thing you just said. And that worries me because KD has been a great player in this league. He's won a couple titles. Now, he was on a team where he didn't necessarily have to do that because you could make the case that was Steph's team or Klay Thompson, Draymond, whatever, whoever was the leader in that locker room. The reason it worries me is it's like he's I would think pretty set in his ways. Like, are we really banking everything on him flipping a switch here in the next week and being that guy? Or is he more of that guy than we all realize? But again, Kendrick Perkins was his teammate.
Yeah, he's not.
Yeah,
I've had too many guys around the league say that. Charles Barkley, Kevin Perkins, Stacey King. He's not that vocal leader. Does he have to do it for 82 games? No. All you got to do it is for like 2 months, right? Like just come out of your shell. Be vulnerable. Get comfortable being vulnerable, and these guys will follow him.
Yeah,
he's got that. I guess, pedigree. He's got the reputation to say, hey, I'm a 2-time champion and a 2-time finals MVP. I know what it takes, and this is what it takes. And guys will absolutely. They're not going to look at him like, get off my back, stop talking to me, get off my case.
Yeah.
They're going to say, I'll give you more. Because he's, like Perk says, he's a top 15 all-time NBAer. He's my favorite player in the league today. Sorry, LeBron. I think he's
LeBron
got
just stopped listening to us.
He's got that ability. He's just got to go do it.
Yeah. Even as you're talking, it's like if he were to do that, it would be he's not somebody that's yelling at you for 82 games. So like if he says something before a game 7 against Denver in the second round or something, it's like you better listen because Kevin Durant doesn't usually speak up like that. And if he does, he means it.
Thanks for watching Wolf and Luke. Tap to see more and click the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.